Crime Housewife. Hey guys, and welcome to the live. Tonight
Hey
we're going to
everyone.
be talking about Libby and Abby and the families, of course, of Libby and Abby. We might get into a little bit of other stuff, but that's the main gist of this live. And that's always been important to us. And as we were talking about it the other day, Adam, um, you know, like, we keep saying that. And it's just like, hopefully, a reminder too for the other creators. Just a reminder that Abby and Libby are at the forefront, at least
Right.
always in this channel at our thoughts, you know. And so yeah, so that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, guys. And hi, Kitten from the UK. How are you? Lisa Mustangs in the house sees through. We could say some highs here. And I think I'm not sure if True Crime Housewife was in the house there up top. Grandma Watches, Mustang, and Sharon Parker. And so yeah, so that's what I thought we would talk about today. And I have a little video that I'm going to play in just a bit here. Uh, thank you, Grandma Watches. Um, I know that this case, well, first and foremost, I think, hey, Adam, that we want to thank all the people like Travis, Charmaine, our group chat, of course, and Frank Meister, and, all the different people that really, like I said, come on the channel and have helped out, and really where their hearts are, which is,
Right.
about justice, the proper justice. So Travis, of course, is, a lawyer that you guys have seen on here a couple times now, and he's all about knowing the law. And at the end of the day, it just becomes about justice, that the right person is charged or a person is charged for any crime that they've committed against somebody. And that's where hopefully that people that saw have seen Travis, gain some knowledge because of it. Um, so I'm very grateful. I know we are actually. I'll say we
Yeah.
are very grateful for that. And Charmaine was on that live too, and it's just great, really, to have the different inputs and stuff like that. But it's really most important that people always, for me, okay, that people do things, with true genuineness, purpose in their heart. That means the most to me. Um, but anyway, so what about you, Adam? Like about with what, like just in general, about your feelings about all this and the impact to the families and
Oh,
you know,
I was gonna say, well, I don't care if their intentions are genuine or not. I just appreciate people contributing.
that's true.
I'm kidding. um, um, so what? I'm sorry. What my opinion was with what?
Oh, just with, like obviously this has been, regardless, it's another delay in the fight for justice, about the impact that the families, of course, must be having, at this time of court. You know what I mean? So just your thoughts really on that whole thing since everything's
Sadly, I think it's unfortunate. It's unnecessary. But I do, I do think it's important that actions have consequences, and I'm not saying anyone in particular. I'm just saying, I think that we're, the families are going to have to suffer the consequences now of the actions of other people, and that's unfortunate. But I still hope that that Libby and Abby and their families can get justice.
yeah.
Outside of that, I'm just a little exhausted, from the the three ring circus that some of the legal ongoings have been, and I'm
Yeah.
sure they're not done. Um, I know that a lot of people are anticipating either the tape or the transcripts of the chamber conversations between Gull, McClelland, Rosie, and Baldwin. Um, the message that I received today said that Judge Gull had not officially authorized the release of them yet.
Correct.
That she, but she may, and that they're not sure whether it'll be in audio form or whether it'll be in
Transcript.
transcript form.
Yeah.
So I know as soon as that comes out, I'm sure everyone will be dissecting it and and that'll be a whole hoopla. So
Yeah, yeah. You know, with that being said, I think with what we know, I'm absolutely fine with Rozzy and Baldwin being kicked off the case. I think that they're getting their not like Rod. I want to say, oh, more Baldwin. Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Hey, Charmaine, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good, good. Doing the do right.
hi there, Charmaine. Charmaine, I have to tell you, your avatar does not do you justice because you are. I mean, your avatar is beautiful, but you are more gorgeous in person than that avatar.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
Actually, your hair's blonde there, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, my natural hair color is red, and I just recently went back because the gray is coming out, and it's noticeable in blonde. So
Yeah, I get it. I get
it,
it.
it's a
Absolutely.
lot easier on your hair too. And Adam, now that I know that you own a hair studio, guess who's coming to you for advice? Because I need advice in the work.
1 second.
Well, I think I owe you some advice. We're good.
On there. Let's see here. I just want to see if I can move us into this. Oh, there we go. Sometimes I'm okay with myself, you know. Sometimes, so I want to put them up on the screen here. Let's see. Is that good? That's good. There we go. Well, thank you for joining us, Charmaine. Um, we were just talking about, of course, your thoughts perhaps on about the families, obviously this is about Abby and Libby. Like, that's the bottom line of it, regardless of anything, that people really just want justice, or at least we would hope that people just want the justice. Um, but the impact to the families that, now have had, just consistently throughout the whole entire years, really, like
Honestly,
so many
this
so
whole
many ups, downs. Go ahead.
since the very beginning, Becky, she just has my heart. And at the very end there, when Richard Allen was arrested, and she did that interview where she said, I don't know what my purpose is now, and
Yeah,
looked so defeated, even though she had done so much over the years and she'd been so strong and going through cancer, and she was just so inspirational. And to see her
It
just
is. Yeah.
so sad and defeated, it brought me to tears. And I still, even when I look back at that interview, it still gives me a lump in my throat. I
shoot,
can't
I know, right? Whenever I get the chills, it's all of a sudden when you're speaking there, I get the chills, and it's just because, like, for this purpose, it's because uh, my heart's breaking as you're saying it. So my body's like, because it's the sadness of it all,
yeah,
and then so it's kind of like I said, just hearing you say that and thinking about it, it's just
and
put
try to
the
put yourself in their position, like Anna too. um
And Carrie.
and my God, Carrie, I can't even imagine being in her position, and just all
yeah,
of trying to even relate to what they must be going through is impossible. But it's beyond heartbreaking. I think by saying it's heartbreaking is such an understatement. It's almost disrespectful. I can't even imagine. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Right. And
absolutely,
to add to your point, I feel like it's I mean, I always hope that the families have a lot more information and knowledge than the public. But we've known a few times that that isn't always true.
Yeah.
And so some of this legal stuff that goes on. I mean, the families are just normal people like us. So I mean, yes, they have the prosecution explaining certain things to them about the legal ongoings, but imagine how like confusing some of that is to keep up in their minds as well. Like, I mean,
And
they're
then
like, oh, this, I mean, I don't know if any of you saw that when Becky finally addressed the photo leaks, and she posted all of those photos of Libby and said, if you're looking for those photos, I want to remind you these are the photos you should be looking at, and or, I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah. And then like one post after the other, remember, it's just,
Yeah.
just so poignant. And I mean, I was really, I guess, proud to see that. It's like, yeah, let's focus here, people. Like,
And then you have people, you know, sometimes, you know, I'm like, I mean, and then you have someone like Carrie who's not geographically in Delphi, so she's not in the middle of, she's not right in the fray of everything. So I mean, sometimes she gets information even, you know, second or third hand, you know, and I'm like, and that just always breaks my heart when someone will message me and they're like, well, let me know if you hear about this because, you know, Carrie doesn't know what's going on.
yeah.
And I'm like, that just always breaks my heart because I'm like, you know, she gave birth to Libby, and um, you know, you would
Oh,
hope that
life. Like, she was very much so in her life. It's not like she's not still her
right,
mom, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
yeah.
It's just another, it's the main aspect of the case that keeps me so involved, but it's not, I don't think it's given the respect that it deserves. That
Agreed.
they're also in the dark, and they're also just trying to get through, and in such a different way than we can even imagine.
Right.
So all the back and forth and the fighting and the online groups and some of the horrendous things that are done and said on there,
Yeah.
it's like there's no empathy and compassion for these
Um,
people being.
no. There- Lots of people are just too busy arguing about, like I said, the most ridiculous things, and about what creators should talk about or not talk about, or this or that, and
Right.
it's just venomous, and it's not even worth the time of day.
I mean,
Again, you know,
sorry.
um, we choose to try to focus on the facts, put the truth out there, have talks with the people in the chat, and focus on the justice for Abby and Libby,
Right.
and and I think we handle this channel really um, good, to be honest with you, and how we always try to present like things that are factual. Yes, debates and stuff like that, but you know, like the main gist of everything is looking at what's out there and the facts of the case. But yeah, things get very twisted and stuff like that. But for me, I hope that people just, like I said, this isn't about arguing with people in different chats and stuff like that over this or that or this. Just stick with what's out there, you know, and respect people's opinions, even
And
if
what
you
I'm
don't like them. Go ahead.
big about your channel, honestly, is the way that you guys bring out your own opinions and stuff, and the people in chat might be, completely on the opposite end, but there's always a way to have like a friendly, respectful debate. And I find in a lot of other channels, there's so much venom, and it's just toxic. And to have the hosts of those channels join
Yeah,
in, it's just,
right.
uh, it's very, very toxic. It's bad. It's bad for the soul to be involved in that kind of atmosphere.
Absolutely.
It's not
It is.
community. You can't even call those
Yeah.
communities. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
get it. But at the end of the day, like I said, everyone can do whatever they like. It's their choice. But we have our rules for this channel. But at the end of the day, like I said, you know, uh, Abby and Libby, those two beautiful girls right there, have so much meaning to this channel and to others, and we do things the way we do things. And like you said, we don't mind the different opinions. It's about how it's said. If you're attacking people, that's different. But we have, like I said, like we're not going to sit there and put up with somebody that's constantly attacking the family with these ridiculous things. Absolutely not. The family had nothing to do with this besides these girls, you know, um, of course, being victims. And they're victims as well, to be honest with you. I mean, they are. And I'm so heartbroken that people do forget about that. But you know what? At the end of the day, um, our hearts are for the family and Abby and Libby for this case. I mean, with any case, to be honest,
And to
um,
think for just 1 second, even about like Mike, having to identify
yeah,
and living with that, and then being kind of the spokesperson for both families, and and
Yeah.
staying strong and composed through all of that. I mean, total better people than I could ever hope to be. I couldn't imagine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
I
know.
thought about Mike when I saw the crime scene photos. Mike was actually the first things I thought about because, even though it wasn't in that moment, I realized that, a portion of what I saw is something that Mike had to stand there and see in person. And that was his, for all essential, his granddaughter.
And that'll never ever leave him. It'll never go away. It's
No.
always going to be there for him.
Right. I mean, I've never met one of these people in my life, and it'll never leave me. So
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
going to be scarred into him, forever. And the strength that it must have taken for him to stand there and do that, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And just the way, even that, like I told you, Sonny, that stupid color rendition that I saw and the effect that it had on me, I couldn't imagine. I can't.
Oh,
Just leaves me speechless. Like,
on there. Yeah. Sorry, I want just before we carry on here, because I do want to play that video. Joe Johnson. Hi, buddy. Just so you know, Joe, I actually gave you a wrench just a moment ago. I totally forgot. I remember Joe asking me if I could let people know about his channel. Joe's out of Indiana. He's played for the bar for Abby and Libby for the Choo. I think it's by the Erskine family there. Either way, Joe, you have a wrench. Please drop your channel. And I'm so sorry. My apologies that I have forgotten. Like I said,
Hey, CJK.
so please do that. Travis is in the house. Hey, Travis, again, I sent you an email today just to thank you again. And anytime again that you ever feel like you want to hop on the live, just send an email and let me know in chat if you do. Always the door is open. And having such a horrible alone. Oh, there's Lacey. Are you Lacey? Well, you know what? You come snuggle up with us tonight, eh? Yeah. Miss my family in Oregon, just having a rough day. That's so sorry. Just gotta get a message out of the way there.
Oh, do we have slow mode on?
I do. I'll turn it off a little bit. I'll put it back to. It's just that I don't like the chat to get overwhelmed, but let me put it down to at least. I'll put it to 20 seconds, okay, guys? Just so it doesn't get too much. Sometimes it gets too much, but this is not one of those nights. Now, let me just quickly, you guys, if you don't mind, I would like to play a 3-minute video, not quite 3 minutes, for Abby and Libby, and just in honor, of course, of Abby and Libby. Okay, guys, and then we'll come right back. Um, I'm just gonna hold on. I'm just gonna hit play, and then we'll leave it right there on there. Um, you guys got me tearing up there, grandma watches and stuff.
That was
It's right.
really nice, Sunny. That's a really good Jay. You're getting really good at those. But that's a beautiful video. That picture you've got right there is gorgeous.
It's
Great picture.
besides the Abby and Libby legs one. This is probably my favorite picture of those girls. Yeah, and so just wanted to make that for them because again, it's what it's. I just want people to stare at them and remember that this is what it's about. This is what it's about. Doesn't matter. The whole legal system will take care of itself the way it's meant to play out, you know? But these girls should always be at the forefront of everyone's thoughts, always. And not about the arguments and not about things that are ridiculous, but it's about Abby and Libby. That's what this is about. You don't sit here and spend that much time on a case, you know, unless your end goal is justice for Abby and Libby. You guys are tearing me up now. That teared me up now. My own video teared me up, and your comment teared me up on there. But I'm not so sorry. You guys do. Thank you, Travis, and thank you. Is it Grandma watches? Not sure if they had Alzheimer's on there, but anyways, so with that being said, you know, I know that a few of us as well talk to the family, you know, have our own, you know, like Aspen and myself, Deb, you know, Frank and that, you know, we care so much. So like after everything happened, like meaning when the whole 136 page stuff came out, you know, I just wanted to send Becky a thing saying I'm so sorry that all this stuff is going on. Biggest hugs, of course, to you and the family. Um, because it's sad that it's gone this long, gone this way. Um, it's just so hard to look at the heartbreak of Anna and Carrie, you know, Kelsey. Kelsey, what a warrior, okay? Kelsey, honestly, what a warrior. To me, she's a hero in my eyes for what she's done for her sister and how she even changed her career path because now she's on a whole different mission, you know, because of this tragic, you know, lives
Yeah.
being lost of her sister and to fight for Abby and Libby's justice. And, you know, very proud of her. Very proud. I'm send that to Becky. Very proud of Kelsey. Um, I don't know. Everyone has their feelings on it. I know that the people in here care a lot. Thank you, by the way.
And that's why they're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelsey is a beautiful woman who is, yeah, she absolutely, whoops, I hit the wrong thing, went to go click. Um,
Absolutely is.
she is. And, you know, I mean, it saddens me that she had, you know, a baby. And of course, you know, Libby should be here to share in that joyful moment, and Abby should be here, you know, as well. Like I said, uh, good friends, um, but they're not. And I cannot think for the life of me of what the child's name was. Um, shoot, if anyone remembers, because Libby's Libby's name, what was it? Libby's name was in there.
Yeah, I can't remember the first name, but I believe the second name was she was named for
Yeah,
Libby.
I'm having a loss at that one. But anyways, but congratulations to Kelsey, of course, and her husband and their newborn, and to the Patties for that, of course. You know, and let's not forget, of course, for people that don't know, and Travis, I'm not sure if you do or not, but Abby was an only child to Anna. She
That's
didn't have.
so heartbreaking for Anna
Oh,
and Abby's grandparents, and it's
yeah.
too.
hmm Um, you know, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that there was, just to ask you quickly, um, There was like a document that came out today, even though Faith never got back to. I don't think any of us really.
You're
Um,
right.
but it
She
was.
must have been busy.
But just to double check with you, Adam, for that particular document, I believe that that one's the one referring to, um, what's his
The
name,
withdrawal.
Hennessy. Yeah, the withdrawal from Hennessy.
Well, but we already have that one.
But Adam, didn't I see, and I mean, I could just be imagining things, but did Luttrell enter a response with the Supreme Court today? I thought I saw something somewhere. I can't remember. I had such a busy day.
Mm, there was three
Mm,
documents in a sense, but
And I don't know if it, I mean, obviously, I don't think it would be on my case, would it? It would be on the
no,
Supreme Court docket.
there's nothing there. I mean, the three things. Adam, do you have them in front of you just to quickly tell people what they were?
the three that came out on there was an order received from the Indiana Supreme Court from as listed James
Oh,
David Luttrell. Then
okay.
there was an order received from the Indiana Supreme Court that had Andrew Joseph Baldwin, Bradley Anthony Rosie, Nicholas Charles McClelland, Robert F. Scrimmen, William Santino Librado listed, and then there was a an order granting sorry withdrawal of counsel that and it just had all the attorneys noticed. So
Yeah,
The more I thought of it today, and I didn't
that's the
sleep very
Miranda.
well last night, but the more I thought of it today, if I had to put my bet in, I think, I don't know, guys. I think the Supreme Court is just going to, what do they do? Dismiss things? I think that they're going to reject the defense's shit. I do. I think it's going to go away.
I agree. I think that they're going to reject it as well. Like I
right,
think that they're
I
gonna.
do hope that they approve the writ of I can't
Mammoth.
remember. I'm sorry
Ma-
right now the word.
that
But
mammoth
I
damage
Reinstated
one.
or whatever.
no of the one that was about transparency, because I think that the way that things are filed is important. I
Yeah,
think there have been
you're
some
right.
mistakes made there, and I think that having transparency in this case is very important. The
Yeah,
only thing I disagree with, and this was my main part the main thing I had trouble with the memorandum that the ex defense team wrote, was all of the private information that they included in there that I felt should have been um, redacted or confidential. And so I think that every motion and order should be made public, but I do think they should be redacted. Especially when there are things like Nick McClelland's cell phone number in them.
Yeah.
oh right,
And I feel like it would do more
mandamus.
harm than good to entertain maybe not the judge issues, whatever, that's separate, and I don't really have an opinion on that, but when it comes to Baldwin and Rosie, I feel like it would do more harm than good to keep going back and forth. And if they take it to the Supreme Court, if that was given any kind of consideration, do you know what I mean? Because what happens if they win and they go back on the case, or whatever bizarre thing could happen? I have no idea, but what good could come of that? Just more delays and more,
Lies.
I don't
I feel
know.
like they caused so much. I feel like they caused so much reached so much havoc and caused so much damage in this case. I
Absolutely.
think that it would just be. I think it would be. I mean, ludicrous for them to be involved in this case whatsoever. Uh,
I honestly think the damage is done. I really do. And I
I
think that
agree.
I don't think there's any fixing it now. I think we just have to, everything has to play out the way it's going to play out now,
Right.
and
And
then deal with
regardless,
the appeals when they come, right?
I'm sorry.
And deal with appeals when they come, because all of
Right.
this is just ammo for appeals, whether he wins on them or not.
Well,
I mean, he can file on every one of these issues, right? I would
right.
assume. And
Well, I
it's,
mean, what? Yeah, I mean, and exactly. And I think every court case should be held up to the scrutiny of an appeal. I mean, we're not lawyers, we're not judges, so our opinions don't really matter legally. So, I mean, I've always said that even if I disagree or think something,
Yeah.
I think that what's important is that everyone's held accountable for their actions, and in the judicial system, an appellate court is the reason that's been set up, is to hold people accountable for their actions and their decisions.
Mm-hmm. And Bob Mata actually made a good point that I think everybody will appreciate. He made a really good point, and I can't remember when it was, yesterday or the day before, but he pointed out that Judge Gall isn't going to be the finder of guilt, right? That's not her
No.
role in this. Her role is basically to make sure everything goes smoothly and by procedure, but the
Right.
jury are, they're the ones that are going to be the finders of guilt at the end of the day.
Yep.
So for people that are crying that the judge is corrupt, she's not the one that's going to decide whether Rick Gallen is guilty
Well, I
or
was going to say,
innocent, right?
Well,
That's not her
we've
role.
said that over
exactly.
and over. It's the
Well,
jury.
exactly. And let's think, and I know I want to talk about Libby and Abby, so I don't want to go too far down
Yeah.
the rabbit hole of this discussion. But I do think it's important to think about the fact that Judge Gull, I understand a lot of people have said, oh, Baldwin and Rosie had no infractions on their record. Judge Gull has an exemplary record as far as correct, as far as being sanctioned or anything like that. So you think that Judge Gull, who potentially is going to end up on the Indiana Supreme Court one day, is going to risk her entire exemplary career on Brad
Yeah.
Rosie? I mean, for what reason? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, I think that everyone being held accountable for their actions is important, and transparency is important. So, I'm all for the writs of mandamus being approved.
Um, and I just want to go back up to Daisy. Daisy, um, she's talking about the transcripts from the chambers.
Yeah.
What has been said is that at this at this point in time, no, they are not out or coming out yet, but they might,
Right.
depending on what Judge Frankel does. But so a lot of people were talking about that today. Somebody showed me a response, of course, to that question, and it came back saying that at this time, that Judge Franco, is not releasing them, but that doesn't mean that it won't happen. So that's what we know at that time for the
Well,
transcript. And then watch tomorrow, next thing you know, boom, boom, boom,
well,
freaking our
and
emails are
and it might
going.
be tomorrow.
Uh, oh, Travis is giving you a compliment over there.
See, Travis, since you told me I should be a lawyer, I've started learning Latin.
Yeah, um, absolutely. Uh, I can't remember. Yeah, but I was gonna say, like I said, Charmaine, uh, probably last week when we were doing the live, um, exactly what we were talking about. At the end of the day, it's going to be about the evidence, and it's going to be about the jurors, deciding on if Richard Allen is guilty or innocent, and that's what it's going to be all about, right? Like however the courts work for, well, I remember Barry Morphy's case, like this evidence was allowed, this stuff wasn't, blah 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 blah, but I just know that at the end of the day it will work itself out. Will we ever receive the answer we want to hear? No. Will there ever be a plea deal instead and stuff like that? That worries me. Absolutely. I'm very much worried. Okay. My glass is half full, but because of the different things that have happened from the LE side of Carroll County, from the defense side, and truth will probably come out about that as well. And then they'll be walking a hall of shame on that, perhaps. But at the end of the day, like I said, well, can't say it enough. Really, it's just Abby and Libby, right? You just want to get to that point, and it will get there, but we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be.
And that's a question, and I've not asked any of the family members this question, but that is one question I at this point, after all of the stuff that's happened in this case, if it meant never fully knowing why what happened, would they be okay with a change of plea?
Right.
And it's hard because it's like, I'm like, they have to want to know why. But they also have to, like, I'm sure want some sort of peace or ending to some of this.
Oops. Yeah.
It's a cliche, but I think closure is probably a real thing for that side of things. You know what I mean? Like, I think finding out answers and having a jury find him guilty, I think would help with some kind of closure, whatever that means.
Well, him or whoever is responsible, to be honest, like, who knows? Like, with this case, you expect the unexpected because that's just the way it keeps going.
Right. I want to know when we can expect a lull in the case again.
I don't think that's going to happen for a while, to be honest with you.
I think it has to happen soon. I don't
It
think
will. Once all the documents and filings and motions and whatever play out,
Like, I think after the next a couple of weeks, I think there has to be a little bit of a, until the new defense team has, started to really, put together a case.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what people think Baldwin meant by journalists need to start being journalists. Like, that was a bizarre statement. Why wouldn't he have called on, like, defense attorneys or anybody that could do something? Like, why did he? You know what I mean? Like, what was the
same reason? Same reason he wrote a memorandum, that was geared towards the court of public opinion and not geared towards the actual court.
I wish you wouldn't call it a memorandum. It was a work of art.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was
lauded by experts all across the country.
Creative work of art on there. Do you think that was meant towards, like, just by chance, like murder sheets and stuff like that? And you think it was meant towards them, or because I remember that Russ McQuaid, he had made a comment, like, he said, well, he had offered. He was like, well, what do you need? But
right.
but
I felt like it was a battle cry for all of the people that have eaten up every little bit of scraps that he's thrown their way in the past.
I think he really needs to look in his mirror real hard, very hard, about what their team has done.
His clients or his ex-clients, his former clients' defense, like, that's what I feel he needs to really reconsider. Because, like I said, right, if you're on the side of the defense or not, what good could come of having Baldwin back on the case in 6 weeks or however long it takes the Supreme Court? You know what I mean? Like, what good could come of it? No good could come of it.
Thanks, Travis.
Right.
We have no idea what these new attorneys are going to do. So by that time, the new defense attorneys are going to know what they're going to do.
Right. And I wonder how many of the same people that reached out to Rosie and Baldwin to try to put information into their ears that fit a narrative they had have already reached out to this new defense team.
Mm-hmm. And also for the people that were inside the courtroom, that I don't know if you guys have listened to the Murder Sheets episode that they put out last night, but what exactly was Hennessy saying about these new attorneys that would be beneficial to Richard Allen? You know what I mean? All of this stuff together kept me up all frigging night. Sorry. But I mean, it really made me think, like, I still believe that they believe what they're saying and they're trying to stand by it. I do, but I'm starting to feel like it might be misdirected, and and now they've almost taken it personally, and I don't think it's going to do Richard Allen's defense any good anymore. You know, like I don't know.
I agree with you.
Let's see. Autos comment. Had a dot. Oh, okay. On there. Were you talking about murder sheets?
Yeah,
You-
like their podcast, and last night they put out a podcast kind of what went on in the courtroom, and I know that Frank said a couple of things, but he didn't mention anything from before the hearing, and Murder Sheet kind of said that Hennessy was talking a little bit loudly, like purposely loudly,
Oh, okay.
and not speaking well of the new defense attorneys. And I don't understand. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. Like, what good could that possibly do for Richard Allen, which was that's their point of being there, to defend this man. Do you know what I mean? So you'd think it would be more of a team atmosphere. Let's sort this stuff out together. But no, by the sounds of things, Hennessy was almost attacking them behind their
Well,
back. It just seems so shady. It just seems so wrong.
mhm. And agree, Fig.
Misdirected.
Mr. Yeah. Yeah. Fig says, funny that Baldwin tells others how to do their jobs when he's obviously effing horrible at his. Probably fall into the whole hypocrite thing, right? Which I think we all are, but yeah. I personally think Baldwin should walk the hall of shame, walk that red carpet.
Is that what you think, Travis, that he meant that the media needs to keep filing motions? Because I think the only media that's been filing has been to have cameras in the courtroom, and then the Murder Sheet did that one filing that ended up getting the 118 pages or documents or whatever released. But the way he put it was like nobody was doing anything.
Yeah.
And according to the judge, you all aren't journalists. So, I mean, know your role, Sonny.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the one thing that did pee me off with one of the couple things with Fran Gull. I think most people that are in true crime and whatever took offense to that comment. Like, honestly, it's like, okay, are we back in like 20 years, 30 years ago now? Or because, it's going to hit people like a shit ton of bricks, because true crime and independent reporters, YouTube channel creators are the wave of the future. Hence why you see them on the news media all the time now. So that one, it was very offensive, I think, and yeah, that whole paragraph, how she worded that was, I don't know. I took a bit of a slight to that whole paragraph. And it's like, and if they don't hand over the pictures, well, they're in contempt of court type of thing, or we're going to put them in contempt and and it just, that whole paragraph didn't make sense. Like I said, so here's the pictures. Oh, I'm still not deleting them though, type of thing. Like, ridiculous. But
are you seeing chat right now, Sonny? I'm sorry, Miranda Lee. That is hilarious to me.
what?
Do we sound like we're from Wisconsin? No shade on people from Wisconsin, but I don't think we sound like people in Wisconsin.
Where did she say? I don't see where it says that.
Well, she asked if we were from Canada or Wisconsin, and Mustang told her
There you
Canada.
go, Sonny.
Canadian.
We're not from Wisconsin. I'm not.
And they're Canadian, and I live in North Carolina, but I did go to college in Wisconsin. But it was
That counts.
That's funny. I don't even feel like we have an accent. Do
You do.
Canadians have accents?
You
Yeah.
do.
Oh, right. Because you're Canadian too. Duh. I was sitting there for like totally forgetting that, because I don't know what I was thinking for a second. But I don't think we have accents. But then my husband doesn't think he has an accent, and he's British.
Well,
You know?
that's just crazy, Sonny. You've married a crazy man. Of course he has an accent.
He doesn't understand that US people and Canadian people, we pretty much, women drool over the Aussie and English and those type of accents. It's like, speak more, tell us more. Just go ahead.
For me, it's a good
So you watch them eat.
accent. Love it.
I mean, I do say a lot, and that should give it away.
Anyone that fantasizes about men with British accents hasn't seen one come home from a pub. All that mystery and romance is over.
Let's see here.
They process out loud. Process.
And
Process.
Diana, I went to school in Ripon, not Madison.
Is it process or process?
Aluminum or aluminum.
Aluminum.
Tomato, right. I know process. My husband always gives me crap if I don't say a word properly. Like, I think, hold on, I know we're going to get off track, but just for a second. Vitamin. I never say vitamin. I say vitamins.
Well,
He's
because
like,
it is vitamins. Who calls it vitamin?
the British, my husband, who says that he owns the language of English because he's from British.
They also call soccer football there, Sonny. So.
True.
Yeah, but they invented it first, right? So.
Anyways, can I say really quickly, Steffa?
Yeah.
Steffa says, does anyone else have an issue with the procedure not being followed? Richard Allen is to be notified his attorneys are being disqualified. Then a hearing is to be done for both sides to argue their truth. Steffa, I think that, it's important that all parts of the law are followed. And I think that, that's the reason we have an appellate court. That's the reason we have an Indiana Supreme Court. And if they find that those actions were improper, then absolutely, I think there's a problem there. But that's why those places are in place. And so I'm going to hope that, because they know way better than we. So I'm going to defer to them as far as any actual process.
Right. And I think that
Hold on.
I listened to enough where I thought I had a good understanding, but I don't. There's no possible way that my understanding can be right because of everything that's going on now. And I don't see Fran Gull risking her career over some personal vendetta with Brad Rossi.
Absolutely.
Whatever. In the same way that I can't understand why they would risk their entire career for Richard Allen. So this is why I've decided to stop with my own opinions. I'm going to sit back and watch and really hope that the people that do know the system will step in when they see something wrong. And they, from what I can tell, they are, and everything's going to play out the way it should. And if it doesn't, Richard Allen will have his appeals, he'll have his opportunities, and it's a long fight, unfortunately.
Oh, Deb, it's hilarious.
How long is it?
52 seconds.
Fig, can I play your video?
Is it weird that I knew that? Because when I got it earlier today, I was like,
well, I was just going to say, I seen it pop up here, but before we go any further, I'm sorry, because I seen this later, but Charmaine, say process or process. However do you...
It's process. What?
I say process.
Process. And I mean, a process, okay, you process food. A process is the way you do something other than processing food. Don't ask me stupid questions because I give stupid answers.
Wait.
Well, that's about. Where's Fig? Did he go?
Wait, before you I just sent it to you directly so you can just play it from there rather than go to his YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Let me just go to my Facebook. Where did you send it to?
Well, it's
Messenger?
Yeah.
Okay. We as citizens should know. So I think Steffa says process. I think Steffa says that. That's our tree expert right there. Anyways, let me.
Well, we do, Steffa. We do. Steffa, I feel like you're very. I feel like I think you might have problems with some of the things that are happening in this case. And I mean, if you do, you should write a letter. I mean, I don't know, because I feel like all of the processes that are supposed to be happening are taking place. So I don't know what any outcry that anyone's having is. That's what these systems are in place for.
Whoops, one sec.
The word process, I'm sorry, I'm stuck on this. Did I start saying process instead of process? But
You
anyways,
did.
that's like a very specific word to pick out for a Canadian accent. It's probably the last word that I would think would have a Canadian accent. I just, it's
All
funny.
right.
That's good. That's a good one, Travis. I love it. I'm gonna be thinking about that all night. Process.
Share screen. Okay. So, oh, there's a doggy outside. I'm gonna mute myself for a sec while I play this. Only like 52 seconds.
In a tale of corruption for filling a person's prescription incorrectly, one CVS employee became the target of the world's largest, most complex corruption cover-up known to man ever. Delphi Police, Indiana State Police, the FBI, the mayor, the prosecutor, the sheriff, the Indiana Department of Resources, the judge, and many more all conspired together to force Richard Allen to admit to his wife that he committed double murder. These conspirators committed the murders themselves, then broke into Richard Allen's house to see what type of gun he possessed. They then planted a matching bullet at the crime scene. Wait, no. They put their own bullet at the crime scene, never mind. Then they had a conservation officer lose his tip for 6 years. Wait, damn it. In a tale...
I was sitting there laughing and I was muted. Okay, hold on a second. Share screen. Just go back.
I mean, that video sounds absurd, but is it really far off from what a lot of people have been saying?
Not really. On there. Yeah. Okay. I think that video was great.
It was very good. Good job.
Now you guys are just teasing us Canadians up here. We're not gonna take it. Right, Charmaine? We're not gonna. We speak just fine.
Yeah, we should get somebody from Newfoundland on here if they want to hear real Canadians.
Oh, I'm sure
Charmaine,
my husband would love.
Charmaine, no offense, but we need another American before we get any more Canadians on the panel.
I totally agree.
Dan says, I think Rosie, God, I always want to say Rosie, the other guy pulled RA's wife and mom out of the court day on the 19th and brought them back to RA. Where they told them that they will not be repping in anymore. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what happened there at that point. And they pulled him out of court. I mean, that was said that, took him to his wife and whatever. But they were bawling, I think, before that because of all this, probably. Because they knew what was going on. It's not like they were schnookered or, blindsided.
Here's a question for you guys. Do you think if you were in Richard Allen's shoes, would you waive speedy trial at this point? Just try to get it over with. I heard some crazy talk that some people think that he should get it over with and jump right to the appeals because it's kind of a lost battle now for some people, in some people's opinion. Because he can revoke that he waived speedy trial. He can still ask for it.
I personally have no opinion on that because I haven't thought about it enough. I heard some rumors about how there was some question about whether he may have unintentionally waived right to speedy trial when he, in that November 2022 letter, had written that he was going to get private counsel and then didn't. But I never put too much thought into any of it because, like you said, he can revoke it at any time anyway. So, I would be more interested to see how the new defense team is going to handle the discovery material they receive, and hey, they should get it much quicker because think of it's so much more. It's all compiled and organized now, but Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I haven't really thought too much about the whole speedy trial thing because nothing in this case is speedy.
And just Travis, quickly, what are you saying? Wait, what? Are you saying that to a comment, something we said up here? I'm not really sure what.
To Charmaine's question, that he's responding to Charmaine's question about if he would waive his right to a speedy trial.
Mm,
It sounded crazy to me and kind of counterproductive to me, but some people were, and I didn't pay close enough attention to remember what they were saying, but some of them seemed like, reasonable points, I guess, as
Yeah,
to why he might.
and Travis, there's not a waiver of speedy trial in this court file. Not that I've seen, at least.
let's Donna says, let's see what the Supreme Court says. And I guess I am not an attorney. Support with stuff I do not. I get the right. Well, you know what? To be honest with you, like I said, this is where Travis's expertise and that stuff comes in. For me, I'm just personally waiting to see what all documents are being filed, and then we'll see what happens. Whereas a lawyer typically can.
Do you know who the smartest person in this case in the last year has been?
You?
No.
Oh.
Diener.
Right.
He was
Right.
like, nope.
Yep. Nope. Pushes it off onto somebody else.
Big bloodlust, gotta go.
Yeah, he yeeted himself out of there faster than I would have, boy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's probably sitting back there doing his like DUI like trials now and things like that, being like, I'm good.
Mm-hmm. I don't, like I said, for me personally, stuff I don't know enough about that law besides what
No, Steph was right. Yeah, if it's not on the record, it legally never happened.
Yeah.
We're all gonna feel like we went to law school before this case is over. At least in Indiana.
When I see documents, certain documents, I'm just like deer in headlights. It's like you're reading it, you understand parts of it, but you don't really understand it.
Right. Someone sent me. I've never done this myself, but someone sent me a chat GPT.
Oh,
Is that what it's called? Yeah. They literally put like the one of the court things into chat, and like it explained it, like, and it was it was pretty accurate.
Oh, okay. I know technology.
I was like, I never really thought about that.
I was gonna say I'm not up to par on all the chat GPT stuff.
And like we're just using AI for that to explain it because it's a legal document.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what program that was. That would be great. All I know is technology is changing before our hands on all this stuff. Canva. Do you want me to make you a video? Do you want to use Magic Ray to make it sound better? Do you want this? Do you want that? I'm just like my head spinning, going, like, slow down, slow down, technology, because it's crazy all the different AI stuff that just is massively like coming out. It becomes more highly problematic at some time. Sorry, I should read that better. It could become highly problematic at some point that so many unusual rulings are being made.
It can also be very helpful in certain circumstances, but I don't ever play with it, so I don't think about it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Hey, pretty soon we're going to be the laziest people in the world. I mean, the world has gotten a lot lazier. Well, I know.
Right.
Like,
hey, Deb.
I'm just amazed that we don't freaking have like the Jetsons freaking air spacecraft for cars yet. But I don't know what Elon Musk is thinking there. We should be living in the Jetsons there. But it's like Diener knows way more than anyone else in Indiana. That's why.
Lisa. If I use Tom's fashion stylist, I'd have a yellow polo shirt on right now. Let's be honest.
Okay, lawyers would come and say we can be ready, right? Okay, so Travis says there's no. Oh, hey, there's his language that we like. Okay, there is no effing way.
Is that
Um,
Latin? Is that Latin?
it's Latin. I feel yeah, yeah. I'm trying to dummy it down to English here, but there is no effing way new lawyers would come and say, um, we can be ready in January. Adam, they in effect waive speedy trial by filing motion MFC
Right.
in there. So all these things, CCS, MFCs, hi, mandamus, all these
Man,
new literature words we're learning. The former detents defense teams are drama queens. Right? I know my mandamus from a hole in the ground. Good call, Travis. Go ahead, Charmaine. If you want to pop in there, just feel free to say something.
I have my not even miniature Shetland ponies running around, so I had myself on mute for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I heard it just in can't remember what chat I was in, but because I work and I listen, right? And then sometimes I'll read chat and somebody just mentioned about speedy trial, and I was like, huh, I guess that would be an option, but I couldn't understand why. But then as they were talking, there were a couple of good points as to why he might, like, why that would be an option, but I just what anybody else thought of it.
I mean, I personally can't see why or that he would want that speedier trial.
Yeah, I think the point is just to kind of get it over with, because, and I think probably the point of it all was that everything's so messed up now that no matter what happens, he gets convicted, he's going to get it overturned in a new trial on appeal because the judge is corrupt, and you know what I'm saying? And then so people are like, why wouldn't they just waive speedy, get it over with, and get to the appeal so that he can get a new trial or whatever, get a new judge. I think that was the point of the chat that I read, like, because I only saw bits and pieces, but I thought I'd pose the question here.
Yeah. Travis says sounds like a couple lawyers talking our nerdy what if scenarios. Travis, there, she's in love with you on that one too. Yeah,
we all are.
Yeah.
I'll be right back, Sonny.
No,
I feel like Travis should jump on and
I know Travis
with all of his nerdy lawyer talk.
I know. You want to jump on, Travis, for like no more than like 30 minutes?
Your 4-hour live the other day, Sonny, was...
that's not my fault. That's not my...
No, I loved it.
I loved it. Yeah, okay.
Wait, Charmaine, was I on that one?
No.
You weren't, but you were in the chat, I think. But, I mean...
Okay, well then it couldn't have been that great.
But it made my workday fly by. It was great.
Yeah. No, Travis was just simply like explaining, like said the different things. And for people like myself and a lot of others, just to help us understand, like I said, the process and stuff like that. So I wasn't meant to be 4.5 hours, but that's the way it turned out. So I don't care. I mean, Travis, we've done a 13-hour live, me and Adam. I don't think we beat that one yet. Yeah, on
Sounds
there.
like a challenge, Travis. 13 hours. Do you have plans tomorrow? I'm just kidding.
I know. And well, my husband doesn't have one, sadly. A few hours to kill out there. He's whining how cold he is, but wait. Okay. Oh, hey, I gotta read this now. While I look at this, Travis, and no pressure, we call it like it is. But if you want to pop on, let me know. I'll throw you the link if you have a few moments. If you don't, absolutely fine. It's Charmaine's. It's Charmaine. Charmaine, you're the one that's twisting his arm, not me, right?
Totally. I mean, I will listen to any lawyer talk law all day, every day. That's how much of a nerd I was. I did go to college for criminal justice, and when when I was doing crime scene investigation, and it was a retired police officer that was actually our instructor, and he was showing crime scene photos, and one of them was a little girl that was in a garbage bag, and that's when I saw that photo. That's when I realized I cannot be a crime scene investigator. I
Oh,
considered going into law, and I never did. Life happened, and I moved to Fox Creek and whatever. But the law has always been super interesting to me. I can listen to a lawyer talk all day, every day.
you know, for me, because I don't deal with dead people well, you know, especially like murdered victims, type of
It's
thing.
the children, right? And at the
Yeah.
time, I had a daughter that was just right about that same age, and it's because I was very desensitized. You know, I thought till I saw that, and I was like, nope,
Okay.
there's no way.
Travis says he's going to come on, and I get it, Travis. And my heart hurts for you that you feel that way because I get it. He was talking about it; he couldn't remember the names. So I'll send it to your email, Travis. Yeah, I'll get back on course talking about as Abby and Libby and stuff like that. And I mean, at the end of the day, right? I mean, I guess we can only say so much about um, some of that stuff because obviously, you know, I mean, one day it would be nice, you know, but the gag order and stuff, all that stuff still in play, you know, for the family to talk.
I wonder too about the lawyers. I know that they're still bound by the gag order, but what would be the ramifications if they broke it, if they're not representing them? Do you know what I mean? What could happen to them? Could they be thrown in jail if they violate a gag order?
Well,
You know what I mean? Like, because they seem the type that would now try their best. If I don't want to get into that, but if they're truly knowingly responsible for the leaks, they seem the type that would even take it further now, if that makes sense. So if it could be tied back to them, what would be the consequences of that for anybody? Because you know how friend Gull said in that one email that she could throw a podcaster or whatever in jail if they didn't return those photos. Can she do that with Baldwin and Rosie if they decide to talk?
well, I was going to say when Travis comes on after he says what he has to talk about, then we can talk about that. He said, "Great question." I just have to prepare here um, for four people. Let me see. That I think when he comes on, gotta play around for a second because I think this is my.
Easier if I jump off, like it's okay with.
Oh, no. It's just this is giving me a chance to play around with things, um, kind of like how I did it here. You know, it's like making your own palette in a sense. So when it's four people, then it would usually spread out. Anyways, you just stay where you are, Missy, on there. Uh, oh, there he is. So let's see. Oh, I think I got to go back to my this one. No, hold on. Is he there? There he is.
Hey,
Hi,
Hey,
Travis.
hey there. How y'all?
so
Good.
good.
Say
So,
process for me. Process.
Oh,
Process.
I say it the way all Americans say it. It's process.
Process.
But everyone I've known from BC pronounces it process. And it's not wrong. It's just the way y'all pronounce it. But, in English accents, not British, English, you can, if you've been around in England enough, you can pinpoint people to
yeah.
very small geographic areas. And in fact, in London, a Cockney accent means you were within, and that Cockney accent still exists. And you were within hearing distance of the bell of what church? St. Andrews? Anyway, Cockney accent, the definition of Cockney is you lived within hearing distance of the church bell. But, and then people that went to public school in England, which is private, you know, they have, you can tell who went to public school, and you know that goes back to there's still a class structure in England, but no, you're not pronouncing it wrong. You're pronouncing it like you were born and raised in Canada, and you know it's the A's and the O, a boat, and
You guys, I don't know. That's on the Newfoundland side. On the Pacific coast, it's a boat. You know, a boat.
right.
And
But say CHAT.
CH what? CHAT?
Yeah, say CHAT. Both of you.
Chat.
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 Not at the same time. One at a time.
Chat.
Okay.
Or do you want us to spell it? CHAT?
No, say it. Sonny,
Oh.
say the word.
Chat.
And then Charmaine one more time.
Chat.
Everyone's in chat.
Yeah, there we go. Here I am directing your show again, Sonny. Every time I come on, it's like he's taking over.
No.
Hey, Travis.
Well, now we need to hear Adam say it. CHAT.
Chat.
Oh, I like that. Chat.
Okay. Let's
Very
see.
pronounced.
How long did you live in Wisconsin?
Oh, I only lived there for 2 years.
Okay, say THREE.
There?
No, tree.
Oh,
Three. It's three.
Wait.
It's 1, 2, 3, guys. 3.
Okay, yeah,
3.
but what say the number after 2.
3.
Okay.
See,
yeah,
here
see,
you expect.
in Wisconsin it's 1, 2, 3, and it's not a, and then everybody has their own expressions. So I don't know in Canada. In Canada, what do you call the device that has batteries and you flip the switch and it
Dildo.
a light?
Sonny, you beat me to it. I was thinking the same thing.
Steffa felt like we were talking about her just now.
What do you call a flashlight in Canada?
Flashlight.
Okay, it's a torch in England. What about the trunk of a car or the hood of a car?
The hood.
The hood and the trunk.
Not a bonnet.
What about an elevator?
Is it a lift or an elevator?
We
could do this with the South as well.
So yeah, you all like dropped a lot of the colloquialisms. I have a hard time saying that, but what the locals nickname common items: torch, lift, bonnet. Anywho, so I digress.
Yeah.
What about measuring tape? A lot of people around here call it a tape measure.
But the first show I caught, and I was talking, and I didn't come in because I was already in bed and didn't want to wake up my wife. I had it on headphones, but the Charmaine was on, and happened to say back then, as now, it was all the court documents, and so the word process was being said a lot. And I was going to ask in chat, where are y'all from? I gathered from something that Sonny was from Canada, and then I was about to ask, and then Charmaine said process, and I said, okay, well, she's from BC, so I said, well, I'll just ask Adam privately, because I don't know how much you guys share. You know, everyone has a different level of how much you share as being involved in a live stream. You know how it is. I don't need to tell you. Some it's like, oh, I'm from Canada and I've got this and
Yeah,
kids,
right. I
and
get. Okay.
then other people, it's like they never show their face, they never give the real name, and I understand the reasons for that, but I didn't want to ask in
Right.
the
Disinform.
chat, hey, where do you guys live, and
Right.
you know
Yeah.
and what's the street, and
And yeah, your social insurance number.
what times are you commonly away from home?
Yeah, I get it.
So
The
so let me
answer with
let
most
me
YouTubers is rarely.
yeah
Yeah, go
let me
ahead, Travis.
so let me tell you about this thing. So um, I was running errands and I didn't have I couldn't get on camera or not, and I said, hey, I'll call in, and it was during the day and a lot had gone on, and Sonny asked, hey, can you please join to like just talk about some of these things real quick, and I did, and I just remember talking, and I'm just rambling like I'm prone to do, and trying to explain things for everybody regardless of what your level of knowledge of the legal process is. And
Right.
so I'm talking, and then I get to this point and I'm about to say, I'm the point where I didn't want to say victims, or I'd already said these poor girls, a couple of times, and so I'm like, okay, I'm good. And then I just stopped. I apologize. I know one's last name is German, and I don't even know their names.
Right.
And then it was within a few minutes of that I had to go and hang up, and then I started to think about it, that especially in light of like seeing that video, but I was thinking, it brought up those feelings again, and I'm like, on the law side, I don't want to say we're calloused, but when you're asked, what's the meaning of this motion, what's the meaning of the, none of it's about two girls and their names and the impact on their families, and none of it's about that. And it kind of has to be that way to a certain extent, or you can never be balanced. One can't ever be truly balanced in a case, because we all have inherent biases that have
Yeah.
built up over years, but you try and become aware of them. And if you're aware of them, you can compensate for them, hopefully. And anywho, so as you can tell, at times I'm prone to philosophize, and I was thinking about it, and then I saw that video and it brought it up again, and I was just like, that's the hard part about being the weather person or the sports person, or the legal analyst in all of this, is you don't really get to know the background. So that's why I said when I joined, it's like, if you want to come on, and I really appreciate the offer, always. And but I'm like, no, I'm sitting here because I'm trying, when the discussions got back more to the non-legal, then I could pick up. So I heard things after the video and whatnot about only child, and I just had a feeling of guilt that I spent all this time researching the legal pleadings, but I didn't really give 5 minutes to knowing anything about the families or the girls. And so, that's
Yeah.
it. I just wanted to
I
share
think
that lawyers bleed too.
I think sometimes it's
Yeah.
important though to have somebody that's not as close to and connected to the personal side to get the actual non-biased breakdown of those legal documents, right? Because everything's so emotionally charged for a lot of us that we're all in it for justice for Abby and Libby, as we say all the time, but we're emotionally invested in this argument that we're having, whereas you, not being familiar with them and their families and everything they've gone through, we can trust that what you're analyzing on paper is exactly what it is, with no preconceived bias because of your emotional disconnection, I guess. So I think it's valuable myself.
I agree. I
You
think I
know,
Well,
said that. I
I
think I said that yesterday.
appreciate those comments because that what normally a adjusted human doesn't rationalize, and that was my rationalization. And that if I dig too deep, and then the other component about your particular brand of show, Sonny, is you do have people with different viewpoints, but they're all respectful that I've seen in the
yes. Yeah.
chat. And it's good to have emotional viewpoints. For example, I was talking about different things, and then Adam, because you all are vested in this case and are emotional, I'd say, well, such and such, Rozzy hasn't done anything, and then Adam would say, well, I know you haven't been in it long at all, but there was a point in time way back when there was an incident involving Rozzy, and so
Well, actually, Travis,
the balance comes out, even with the other hosts or guest
right.
people. And so I think with your show, I have a good comfort level of what Charmaine said, that
Yeah.
it's okay that you don't know everything about the families and whatnot. We get that, and we're going to give you a pass on that. And so,
Of course.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Adam?
I was just going to say the incident I was referring to, and I wanted to apologize, is because there was a reference to something that Rosie was involved in, but the incident I myself was talking about was actually the email, and it was Baldwin that sent it. It wasn't Rosie, so I was incorrect when I made that statement. I have heard there was an incident involving Rosie back in or early in the case, once they were appointed. But the one that I specifically was referring to when I was referencing it was incorrect.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter that you were incorrect. You were incorrect in a sincere way, trying to to keep things balanced. And in other words, I don't think you made a misrepresentation in order to try and win an argument.
No.
You're
No.
trying to remind people and to point out to me, to help me, that understand, that a lot of people were commenting, hey, they both need to go. Whereas in the pleadings on paper, all I saw was Baldwin, and it was recent. But I think it was important, for people to understand that there was something that happened in the beginning of the case. And because of the nature of the case and whatnot, we don't know the details. And so, no, I don't even worry about that, Adam,
Right.
like you were, but that's.
Can I ask you a quick question? Because I don't want to go. I want to talk about Libby and Abby, but I do want to ask you a quick question. We've been told that that either the audio recording or the transcript of the in chambers meeting between the prosecution, the ex defense, and go, it's going to be, is potentially going to be released. Is that, because I think that's a good thing. Is that normal? One, and two, is that something that you think is probably in the best interest of all parties?
Okay, so in general, and they reference, and it was Rozzi and is either the verified notice of continuing representation. It might have been in the motion to disqualify. It was certainly brought to light when they filed the precipice for record. But he mentions in the verified notice that there was a record of this two-part meeting, hearing, whatever you want to call it, by the court reporter. And that's significant. Not that, there was someone made an audio recording. The court reporter made an audio recording. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that means if the court reporter does it, it's an official record of the court. And so there's a presumption that anyone can request to have it transcribed, and that you can get a copy of the audio recording in most courts. Now, the order she issued, just prior to the 31st hearing, she said a recording will be made, but it won't be available to the public or anybody else. I've never seen that. That's pretty crazy. But now she can, if she follows the procedure, she could designate all or portions of it confidential, and then it would go up on appeal if that was appealed.
Right. And we've heard that she hasn't authorized its release yet, but we've heard that she will, that she's going to. We're just not sure if it's going to be audio or
in the normal scheme of things, she shouldn't, she wouldn't need to authorize it. It would be
meant for public release.
It would just be somebody makes a request, and either for a copy of the audio tape or for a transcript, and you got to pay the reporter to make the transcript, and it's not cheap. It's $1.50, $2 a page. Probably be $7,500 for just that short of a hearing. But that's the normal process, and then the court reporter would let the judge know. She has to let the attorneys for both sides know, I've gotten a request for this, and do you want a copy? That's the ethical obligation of the court reporter. And then one of them could say, oh, no, we're not letting this out. And then they would file a motion with the judge, or the judge, everyone knows the word now, sua sponte, could say, no, I'm going to designate certain portions. And that's not uncommon at all. That confidential informant might be discussed in chambers, juvenile things, the stuff that you would expect to be redacted, gets redacted, but the rest needs to be public. But, things are different. And then the gag order would still apply to the attorneys, and then presumably to be in compliance, the court's ordered that they return all of the discovery. And if it's digital, like with the photographs that Adam mentioned the other day, they would need to file a notice. I would file a notice of compliance. We've returned all of the physical discovery to the DA consisting of this, and I'd do an inventory. And then the electronic materials have been deleted, and we've confirmed their deletion. And so if they started to leak stuff, they could be ordered to appear in court and to show cause why they're not held in contempt, which is a little bit different than what the judge said she was going to do to non-journalist creators.
Right.
And, we talked about this, that I understand, I said at the time, this should be concerning to people like Sunny and Adam and Charmaine, creators or people who participate with creators, that you're not entitled to a hearing. She can just issue an order. You don't turn things over. She's going to throw you in jail. And that's just not the law in the US, Canada, UK, anywhere.
Right.
And so, there were some things that were concerning about what she had been doing up to this point. And, these are minor issues in the big scheme of things about the overall behavior of Baldwin and
Right.
the defense in total. And, so, it's a tough thing to figure out, okay, would it be better if they had grounds for a writ for them to go ahead and file a writ right now or amend the current writ to cover the propriety of throwing them off the case,
Right.
and then versus the Ramirez alternative. No, we're going to go to trial. I think I'm right, not giving you a continuance. Goes to an appellate court, 6 months to a year. Then it goes to the Supreme Court of Indiana, 6 months to a year. And then it gets reversed and it starts all over. In my experience, the family members, the true victims, they never get that closure. They're not happy at all. And they're even more unhappy if there's a shoddy investigation and a rush to judgment, and
Right.
it's a wrongful conviction.
Yeah.
And they're the most damaged of anyone when they find out. We can tell you with scientific certainty that we got the wrong guy. And, it's horrible. And it's horrible sometimes the way, like, the prosecutor acts. Somebody, because it's human nature, no, I know I got the right guy. And they fight tooth and nail to, allow DNA testing, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. But hope I answered Charmaine's question, but I'm happy to answer anybody else's questions.
You did, and I have one more for you. Just more of an opinion. What do you think? There's any reason for them to continue fighting to be put back on the case? Do you know what I mean? Like, what good could possibly come of that? There's no benefit to Richard Allen to stop the process again in a number of weeks and have everything start over again with them. Like, is there any reason for a lawyer to want to be put back on a case? Because everybody that's pro-defense now is saying they're going to take it to the Supreme Court, they're going to fight, and they're going to try to get back on. What good could that possibly do for Richard Allen's defense? And the only thing I can think of for them would be their own reputation. So is there anything legally that would benefit Richard Allen for them doing that, if they did it, hypothetically speaking?
So you have to understand the mindset. It's with both prosecutors and defense attorneys, but defense lawyers, they're all about the Constitution, fighting for the little guy, so on and so forth. And I think, they have a sincere belief that he's entitled to counsel of his choice. He's expressed he wanted the other attorneys. So let's break down your question. Is it going to help the case or the defense? Probably not. These guys look pretty competent, although they're under her umbrella. So I have a couple of concerns about that, meaning
Yeah.
these two guys are local to her jurisdiction. I'm not exactly sure how the public defender system works in Indiana, how independent it is. I know that at least when it came to approving a bill from a vendor who made some copies that she denied, that was mentioned in an email when she was playing detective, and said, hey, possible people this could be is the vendor who I stiffed. They may have stole the things, or she mentioned another person. I can't remember because we haven't gotten to the emails yet. So if they approve bills submitted by the public defenders, they bill hourly, and they can cut bills and so on and so forth. And that's the way it is in most jurisdictions. Then they, it's not at the conscious level, but if a judge doesn't like you and takes you off the list or cuts your bills, I mean, it's for sure hanging out there and has an influence. And you just try and tuck that away and say, I gotta do what's in the best interest of the client, no matter how financially detrimental it is to me. And we've all been in those situations ourselves, and it's really difficult to make a decision. You have a family, and it's like, hey, the most moral thing in this situation is probably this, but I'm going to do this other thing that I think preserves most of it anyway. So that's another philosophical discussion for another time. But so I have concerns about that, but in the long run, I think you're going to get a very good defense. And if that one attorney learns more about what the current state of forensics are on tool mark on shells, but the other attorney can handle all of that stuff. So, is it going to impact the quality of representation? Probably not, but defense attorneys, they fight stuff all the way to the Supreme Court if they can on the issue, the issues of these constitutional rights. Our Constitution, which Canada has pretty much the exact same things. They even have more constitutional safeguards in some situations, in terms of right to counsel and whatnot. Anywho, so I don't know that I necessarily accept the premise of what people have been commenting about on the issue with that stuff, that I don't know that it's ever a waste of time to insist on a constitutional right being insisted upon. But others may disagree with that. And I'm just trying to give the fair both sides of it. Will it impact the case if they continue fighting for Mr. Allen? Probably not. But will it impact what happens in the future on defendants who appear before Judge Gull or other judges in Indiana? That's why we, have case precedent. Sometimes the case gets decided and it has no impact on anything from a legal standpoint. But
Right.
it impacts other cases. In the case of Gideon, it's impacted every person who's indigent and has committed a felony since the early 60s. And it was because one attorney somewhere felt that, well, actually, Mr. Gideon wrote a pro per, no attorney brief to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they said, and they took it. And then they appointed him, Abe Fortas, one of the greatest Supreme Court orators and brief writers in the history of the court. In fact, there's a thing called a Fortas brief. I'll talk about another time. But and then it got decided, and it said, hey, everyone should have a lawyer if you're being charged with a felony, not just capital murder cases. And we don't even give that a second thought, or most of us don't these days. And so that's my view on it. I think it's, defense lawyers don't look at always, is this going, you can't do anything contrary to the interests of your client. So he's stated on the record, I want these two lawyers. So even though it may not impact the quality or level of defense he gets in the case overall with these two other ones, from a defense attorney's perspective, it's never a waste of time to insist that things be done right or that a constitutional right be enforced. That's the best way I can put it. Sorry to be so lengthy about it.
No, that's okay. And I get that, right? Because obviously, I mean, it's kind of like, like I said, there's always two sides to everything, and in this case, the prosecutors have their job to do, the defense has their job to do, and if they have the, legal whatever you want to call it, to file these motions of for your amendment rights or these rights or whatever, then I get that, absolutely. I mean, and you wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't use every avenue.
Right. So what I would say, if you really want to understand the issues, in my viewpoint, you can really focus in on, and part of it may be driven by Hennessy. Hennessy may be urging and encouraging them, hey, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. But there was three things that came out that I started to get through. One was the preservation of the record, or supplementing the record that Hennessy filed. And Sunny sent them to me, and then she asked me to come on, and I only had a chance to read the first thing. But
yeah,
I had already researched and found out that he was in practice 45 years, hundreds of murder trials, won 100 of them, which is, that's just unheard of.
how many? So, sorry, what was the stats for him?
He's tried well over 100 murder cases in his 40 to 45 year career, but he's won 100.
Right. Okay.
Now, I don't know how he defines a win.
Right.
So the best offer may have been 60 and he got 40. That's a win. Death penalty and he got life. That's a win for a defense attorney. And I don't know how he counts his wins, but if I know that he's gotten a huge number of not guilties, which is just an absolute win. And there's attorneys go their whole career that are good attorneys that might have one or two not guilties in murder cases, and he's got dozens. But anyway, it wasn't that he that intrigued me is that I'd found out he was the head of what they call the, I may have the words wrong, but it's the Public Defender Commission.
Okay.
And that's a governmental commission that oversees the public defender system in Indiana. And he was the chairman of it for years. And you see him in that first page, and I don't know what he filed today. I hope you send it to me, Sonny, if you have it. I'd like to read what.
There's no documents that we have today.
Okay, well then, yeah. So I have the 3 you sent me, and I think it's that thing that his supplemental record. But he talks about that there are certain rules of the commission, and there's this and that, and so knowing that he came from that commission, and most governmental commissions, they appoint interested stakeholders, which would be, somebody from the judiciary, maybe multiple levels of the judiciary, somebody from the Supreme Court, somebody from an appellate court, someone from a trial court, defense attorneys, president of the defense lawyers bar, for example, prosecutor. I've sat on commissions in the counties I've been in, like the Bail Bond Board Commission. I was the defense representative, and stakeholders from everywhere. But anywho, he represented at least the defense side of it, and so they have a keen understanding of the way things are supposed to work. If a judge has a problem with an attorney, what the appeal process is, if a judge denies or cuts a bill, we have a process here. It's straightforward and easy. It goes to independent judge to review, and they give their decision. So I would, if you kind of really want to know what the issues are from that perspective, I would read Hennessy's stuff. It's going to be biased, slanted in favor of Baldwin, clearly, but he throws in Rozzi too, but he's going to offer that other side, and he was much more explanatory, much more detailed in that filing than he's been in any other filing. And the only other one was that thing he filed the day of, which was very abbreviated, no argument really, just cases without really any explanation. So I would commend that to people to kind of get, if you just, whether you agree or disagree, if you just kind of want to see where the other person's coming from, I think that will help tremendously. I agree with the comments I heard earlier before I got on that having the writ heard, which again, to remind everybody, the writ, very narrow issues. I think Adam and Charmaine and Sonny have been explaining that tonight, that has nothing to do with getting attorneys back on, keeping them off. All it has to do with how are we going to treat filings going forward. And if they're going to be considered confidential, what is the process, if any, that needs to be undertaken? Does this form need to be filed? How are things going to be moving forward? And then I'll mention, and we've talked about this before, and there's good arguments and rationale on both sides about what info goes in a brief, specifically the Frank's motion. And, you'll notice that this goes also back to Charmaine's question about complying with the order, the gag order. So that main attorney, who is, if you'll excuse the expression, the princess of fucking darkness when it comes to that statute on court records, she, I considered it, or characterized it as a poke in the ribs to Gull. She posted the entire unredacted brief, as part of the records and it exhibits. And it's like your gag order is only extrajudicial statements. It's the parties and they can't talk. They can't release stuff. It does not apply to pleadings. And she's like, I looked at this very carefully, and just to prove it to you,
Right.
here's the full brief. But she did it in a strategic way. Say, here, court, is the brief. This is what she was considering confidential for a while, and then a redacted form came out, and here's the prime example of what the history's been on these documents. And so, they'd be able to comment about, could they write a book right now? Probably not. But as soon as the trial's over, they can say or do anything they want, and could have a book, and then they anyway. So
Well, Travis, just to ask you, because that's what I was I think asking you the other day, is if the Franks hearing violated the gag order, meaning with what they put out in that Franks about the crime scene and talking about it and stuff like that.
Remember, there was the Franks motion is different. There was the memorandum to support the Franks motion.
Well, yes, sorry. So the
That's-
memorandum. Yeah.
The actual Franks motion itself, I don't think I'd have to reread it, but I don't think contained a lot of confidential information.
No,
But the memorandum.
memorandum.
Yeah, and so we style things a little different here, and I'll thank you for enlightening me once again, Adam. I mean that sincerely. I'll try and remember to refer to it as a memorandum, because that's what's probably on the face. No, it's on the face of the document, and that's the way I should. If my job here is to educate and ease confusion to the extent I can, I should refer to it by its title. So yeah, I'll try to remember to call it memorandum. So the memorandum in support of the Franks motion, I'm just going to refer to it as the memorandum. So the memorandum, had descriptions of things, and I didn't see anyone claim, unless I glossed over. I know they were read a memo when they went into that meeting in chambers of several points that the judge considered to be gross negligence. And I don't know if one of those was improperly describing things. Do any of you remember? The only way we know is two things. One is there was in the notice of continuing representation, Rozzi spelled out, he paraphrased as many of the points as he could, and then in the writ that was filed Monday, she laid out, again as a reminder, the Princess of fucking Darkness on the issue of court records, laid out about 4 of them as examples. I don't know if neither of those, to my recollection, covered that the judge was saying that what was in the memorandum violated the gag order. Am I wrong on that? Anyone have a different recollection?
I went squirrel on you. I'm sorry. I was too busy reading the chat and what people were saying that I didn't hear the last part of what you had asked.
I was really talking to Adam and Charmaine anyway. I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you.
Ooh, burn,
Adam
burn.
or Charmaine, do you remember any of those paraphrased points being related to giving improper descriptions or anything in the?
So
I'd have to reread them to
Yeah,
know specific points. I don't remember what specific points there
are
were.
you talking
But I
about
mean,
the tan coats versus the blue coats
No.
covered in mud as opposed to covered in mud and blood? Is that what you're thinking of?
No.
No.
I think what we're talking about here is like the fact that, like, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about the fact that they talked about the entire crime scene. And
well,
you know,
and they also, I mean, they also literally accused someone of, you know, of murder with their name, with you know, all of these other people's names, and you know,
Didn't
I'm sorry.
And
Travis say before that that's actually a process for a defense to name other people, even though it should have probably been redacted, obviously. But
and that was my problem.
Well, what I said on it, so that's the Saudi defense and third party suspect.
Yeah.
Which I get.
And
I know.
And the point was the gag order does not apply to pleadings. She didn't specify pleadings. Now, if she said nothing, you know, about this or that is going to appear, and it, you know, and if it needs to be in a pleading, you'll file that pleading as confidential.
Oh, one second here. Frank, I'm getting background on you.
Hold on.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yes.
Let's see.
All right.
No,
What's going on, guys?
myself.
I'm awake. I'm just laying in bed. You guys know I've been wearing my ass out the last week. What's going on, guys?
Not much. Oh, Frank, we're getting.
What's that?
We're getting feedback.
It's not my end. I don't have anything open.
It's kind of like when you're in the park.
I don't know why.
Kind of like when you're on Sleuth as
well. Send me the link in the chat and I'll do it from that end.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Ivy Rose says, I think that was my question. People kept talking about violating the gag order by making the filing public. It didn't sound like a violation to me.
And
to me, sorry, Sunny.
No,
I think that
the
detail they put in with a violation was not to mention.
One sec.
Frank. Yeah.
It's only when you that all of a sudden we're getting the background. It's coming through all of our speakers.
Let me put my earbuds in. Hold on, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Frank. Yeah, see, I never looked at. For me personally, I never looked at the memorandum as a violation of the gag order. I just looked at it as an improper filing. I thought it should have been made confidential. I never said that I thought it should have been that it was violating the gag order. I believed that it was unethical, and I believed that it was improper. But I never said it was violating a gag order.
Yeah, I think that's just what a lot of people don't understand, right? And that's why the question comes up because, I mean, I don't know. I was wondering the same thing myself. Like,
Here's what violates the gag order is the fact that the leak was going on. So the leak is what violates the gag order, and people like Gray Hughes, multiple people I know,
right,
they knew about this Odinism thing and the Brad Holder stuff 10 days before that memorandum was filed,
right,
which is the reason that we knew before the crime scene photos even came out that there was a leak coming from the defense. And that's why I was so emphatic about this being so improper, is that I knew information was going out in violation of the gag order to people that it shouldn't have. It wasn't the actual court filing that was violating the gag order. It was the dissemination of the information to people that shouldn't have it, that they then included some of that information in that memorandum for. Just
right.
like then when the crime scene photos were leaked, that violated the gag order. It wasn't about a court filing or anything like that, or a motion. It was about the information going out to people that should not have had it, that then was included in that. So I think anytime someone talks about it, the gag order being violated with the memorandum, I think that what they're referring to is that the information in the memorandum was leaked to people before the memorandum came out. That violated the gag order.
Okay. Just quickly, Frank, do you have your headphones in? Oh,
And Ivy Rose's latest, that question would be good for Travis to answer because he's the expert here. Ivy Rose says, that's another question. Does leaking court filings before it's filed violate a gag order? Travis, did you hear that?
1 second here.
Is that better, guys?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, it is better. You just are low. That's it.
Yeah, I can trim up.
But you're definitely not coming in through our microphones.
I ended up getting on my computer and getting on my headset. So
You're good. I just turned you up, so we can hear you now.
all right, what's going on, guys?
Not much. I want to ask a really question. Travis, are you here still?
Yeah, he's here.
Travis, Ivy Rose says she asked if leaking court filings before something is filed violates a gag order. All right.
Travis is sleeping.
Yeah.
So what
there it is.
about why can't so if murder sheets or anybody else can be thrown in jail?
1 second, Charmaine, please. Sorry. Travis, can you hear us? Go back. We can't hear you. Yes. Yeah. Go back out and come back in. That's sign language right there. Sorry about that, guys. Just little issues there.
See, I want to put my 2 cents in when it comes to gag order, okay?
Yeah.
My understanding, the depiction of their crime scene in the memorandum, giving out specific information that is supposed to be sealed, is violating the gag order.
That's what I thought.
So say that one more time, Frank.
Okay, they depicted the crime scene
Right.
from what information they had from the discovery.
Right.
To me, to my understanding, that is violating the gag order.
And that could be. I was just focused on the part that I absolutely know of, is that that the leak was taking place before that memorandum came out.
Oh yeah. Me and you knew about that.
Yes, so we know that the gag order was being violated just by the information being put out there.
Right.
But further to that point, then, so if Judge Gall says that if these content creators aren't going to return the pictures to me, I'm going to throw them in jail, then why is Gray Hughes and True Crime Design and all these other people allowed to recreate the photos and not even be named? Like, it's almost infuriating. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what really bothered me is when she in those emails She called out Rick Schnee, but she did not call out True Crime Design because she actually depicted what she saw because she's an artist and drew them from what she saw in the pictures. The closest
color.
that she can, in color.
Oh, is that who did that? Was True Crime
Yeah.
Design?
Yes. And
Right.
everybody thinks that she used that AG, whatever the IG, whatever you guys. AI. Yeah, everybody thinks that she used AI on that. And she's an artist and she did it by hand.
Right. Well, I was going to say, Frank, did you want to ask Travis anything? Like, did you have any question for him?
Yeah. I want to ask him, okay, like we were discussing before you were able to come back on, is that the understanding that I understood with the gag order is when the defense depicted exactly what was in the discovery in their memorandum, wouldn't that be violating the gag order?
No, and even to back up a little bit. So, assuming the gag order does not cover pleadings like PFD says in the writ, assuming that, preparing the motion, you could send that to every content creator, newspaper, television station in Indiana, and that's not a violation of the gag order. It's not an unethical thing to do. It's public, and you're allowed to give advance copies of stuff. It's done routinely in cases. So assuming that it doesn't cover pleadings, now if the pleading had Frank, if it had it attached, the photos, you can't subvert the gag order and the protective order, because I actually think there was two orders. I think there's also a protective order Judge Gold kept referring to.
Yes, she did in one.
Now, it may be a violation of that, and we'd need to look at that specifically, but assuming it's not addressed in the protective order, which was, none of the discovery is going to be disseminated to everybody. All a lawyer has is words. And all you can do is advance arguments. And this is, Adam, just to let you know ahead of time, this assumes it's not salacious, gratuitous, but, if you're making a valid point, and in order to make the point, you need to describe the crime scene, which they're only going to know from photos.
Yeah.
It's not a violation of the order. You have to be able to put down your arguments.
Right.
And so I don't know if that also answered Ivy's question, but Frank, what do you think about that, knowing that? I can easily understand why, given the history of the case and the culture, for lack of a better term, that the judge created, which is what this writ's all about. Is this stuff proper? Is she doing the right thing? If you're going to redact, you don't redact the whole document. You redact the part that needs to be confidential, and then you designate the exception to why it shouldn't be public. You file it. If people want to complain about it, they complain about it. That's the way the process is supposed to work according to PFD. But so people think, this stuff's supposed to be private, but no, it's not. When you file a motion to say we're putting the state on notice, we have a Saudi defense, and here's the person, and here's their motive, here's their opportunity, and here's their direct connection. None of that stuff is secret. I mean, you could go to the Avery case right now and pull up all of the written motions about everybody in the Avery family that lived with the Avery Savage, and
Steve Avery.
none of that stuff's secret. None of it's confidential, and it's not unethical. Now,
Well, I
if
guess,
it's violating an order, that's a different thing.
I would have to, we'll just have to pull the protective order and see what it covers, I guess.
Well,
Because I'm sure she probably addressed what things that she wanted protected, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I'm concerned about that because, I'm not up to speed. I'm only 20, 30 pages into the
right.
memorandum. See, I got it, Adam. I'm only 20, 30 pages into the 100 plus page
Right.
memorandum. And
But Travis,
yes,
have you read what they wrote in there about the crime scene? You don't find that gratuitous and salacious? How maybe not the crime scene itself, but then going over,
The exact injury to Libby.
and
yeah,
how Abby died a slow death. You know what I mean? That to me is gratuitous,
yeah,
salacious.
I'm only 20 pages into it, and
I agree.
Lawyers are privileged, just like legislators are privileged saying anything on the floor of the Senate or the what's the lower house called anyway. If you're on the floor, you're privileged. Now,
it's almost like
if you're crazy, you can be sanctioned, but that's not the direction she went. So, I don't know. And Charmaine, I haven't read it, and I may be as shocked and appalled as anybody else, but I can't comment. I'm not trying to avoid it. Really, I'm not. Sunny keeps throwing me stuff, and I try and get to it, and she sends me 30 more pages. So tell her to quit sending me stuff, and I'll get to it.
One sec, Adam, because Frank was going to say something to Travis.
I really wasn't so much looking into the possible violation of the gag order. What really bothered me the most is these attorneys were almost like borderline of tampering with a possible jury pool. That's the way it made me feel, trying to get the people convinced already he's not guilty before they can even get a jury into the courtroom.
Yeah, right. And but before we go on, Frank, I caught your update right after the hearing, and even though the cell coverage was weak, I thought your reporting on it was very balanced. I thought I liked your emotion and the way you phrase things, and really. I got the most information in the least amount of time from you, and I saw a lot of other good people recap it. But so I just wanted to mention that before I forgot.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Greatly appreciated.
I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing at someone just tried to come in the backstage here, and so I was laughing back that someone was trying to come on.
And see, a lot of people don't know that I used to be a radio broadcaster back in the 80s.
Where?
In Indianapolis. It was a small station called WEDM 91.1.
No kidding. And
yes.
It was what was the format?
It was 80s music. 80s genre.
All over that.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to turn 55. Me and Sunny have the same birthday's a day before ours, and she's out my age.
Yeah, you guys are young pups.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Right. You can tell us how old you are. We already know that one lady of the three lawyers is 70 years old. Whatever that lady's name was. We were talking remember the three lawyers? She's like 70 years old,
Yeah.
So are you saying that you're like 99 and still kicking?
I mean, it was so funny when I was there yesterday. It was when Rosie and Bob would walk into the courtroom. I looked straight down at Becky, and you could see your eyeballs getting ready to pop out of her head. And then the judge walks in. I swear to God, guys, if you would have seen the look on her face, you thought her blood pressure had skyrocketed.
Can you imagine?
Just Travis, just so you know, Becky is Libby German's grandparents, Becky and Mike. So if you hear those names, it's the
Thank you.
grandparents.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
thanks.
It was hilarious.
So
And then she just sat forward and said, "Okay, Mr. Rosie and Mr. Baldwin, I see that you filed an appearance to be pro bono." And she said, "So what happened from the 19th till today, gentlemen?" And then Rosie just popped up and basically was trying to be a hard ass, in my opinion, and trying to bully the judge. And then she went back at him and then asked Nick what he thought. And he said, yes, it was gross negligence on their part from one of the offices. So he had to agree with the judge. And she said, then she started talking to Richard and said, "Mr. Richard, I understand that you want to retain these two attorneys, but I cannot allow this to happen due to gross negligence. And I am trying to protect the integrity of the case and make sure that you do get a fair trial." And then here comes Hennessy's ass. And I was surprised that she didn't find him in contempt of court or find him the way he was talking to her.
really?
Well, I couldn't believe it.
Good for her then. She remained patient and
Oh, she sure did. She sure did.
So Frank, quickly talk about because what was being said was that Hennessy was talking down about the new attorneys.
Yes, I didn't hear exactly what was being said, but
Okay.
I can hear he was ranting about something. But like I said in the chat earlier, as soon as the new attorneys came in and walked it, you know, it was really so messed up about the whole situation is that Rosie and Baldwin were sitting at the defense table, and these two new attorneys had to sit in the witness seats behind them.
Oh,
And then David Hennessy was started kissing her ass, shaking her hands, and talking like they were just buddies. I was just like, what a damn hypocrite.
oh, okay. You talking about the two new attorneys? He was shaking
Yeah,
hands.
yeah.
Well,
I was just like, what the hell's going on here?
Right.
You're up there ranting
Freckle
about
Joy,
something. Huh?
Freckle Joy says, "Where's the hearing and evidence of gross negligence on the record?" You know, well, I mean, I think that's the thing that's in question as far as the fact that we might get an audio recording of the in chambers recording of what happened on the 19th, or we might get a transcript of it. But the hearing that we were going to hear about the gross negligence never took place. But the reason that never took place is because Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rosie didn't show up in the courtroom. They left.
Everything took place inside the judge's chambers. And
Right.
we knew, as soon as I
So
see
there was a
Hennessy,
hearing for that.
yes, as soon as I saw David Hennessy walk off the elevator, I said, "Oh shit!" I said, "Baldwin knows he's screwed."
Yeah.
He knew he was screwed. That's why he hired an attorney.
Right.
You know, and I was just flabbergasted at that hearing. You made us wait 7 hours for a 3-minute hearing.
Yeah, when he was betrayed. Fig says the gross negligence was acknowledged by Baldwin when he wrote in one of his documents that he was betrayed. There. Travis, did you want to weigh in on anything that Frank just said there?
No, we need to hear less from me and more from others on their viewpoints. And
getting back to the audio tapes, I have been in contact with John McCauley, the clerk for Judge Gold, and he has no word yet as to when or if she's going to approve it. But I do have contacts with the news stations, and they filed their FOIA request, and it's been accepted by the court. It's just sitting on Gold's desk to be signed off on.
Oh, okay.
and she's fretting over that because she doesn't want to have to face PFD on that issue.
If there is any, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, she's got to be transparent with this whole thing. I get that. You can't
100%.
hide what was actually said inside that in the chambers like that, because it didn't make any sense when she came out and said we had an unexpected change take place. And I said, what?
Right.
What's going on?
Yeah, and there's no requirement, just to let people know, a judge can have a meeting privately in chambers, and
It happens all the time.
all the time, and discuss things. And then as an attorney, if you feel like, hey, this stuff needs to be on the record, then the way you diplomatically, politely say, okay, is this going to be all right? And it's like, well, Judge, we want to make a record, and we want to make a record on it. And then the judge can say, okay, some judges have the infrastructure in their chambers to have the court reporter put it on the record, or some don't, and then you go out into the courtroom and you make a record, and then they would admonish and say, okay, look, because of the sensitive nature, medical records of a child or sexual assault of a child, or all the sensitive things that happen in the criminal justice process, I don't want you to specify that. You can just refer to these documents, and I'll make it clear on the record that you provided me with all of the facts necessary to rule one way or the other. But that's like a defense attorney's, one of their top mandate isn't to get their client off. And I know a lot of people in the public think that's the case, but it's not. One is to put the state to their proof and overcome the presumption of innocence and put the state to their proof, make them prove their case beyond all reasonable doubt. The second most important thing a defense attorney does is preserve the record. If you don't object, it's waived. If you don't, it's called pursue an objection to conclusion, which means you object, granted. Then you have to ask the judge, in order to preserve the error, you have to say, I request you instruct the jury to disregard that. Granted, jury, you're going to disregard what that guy said. And then you have to ask for a mistrial on the record. If you don't do those three things, it's waived. And, it's one of the most important things that a lawyer does. But, in chamber hearings, discussions happen routinely, as Adam said. And then the other thing is, if it is reported by the official court reporter, it's deemed public unless the judge comes along later. I still have trouble about till she approves it. It's just not the way things done. The way things done are we're going on the record. I'm going to order this to be sealed. We're making a purpose of the record for appeal if necessary. The court reporter is ordered to keep it safe and secure and to put it in a sealed envelope. And if the case does end up going to the Court of Appeals, forward it with the record. But
I mean, doesn't everything have to go public? Doesn't everything have to be authorized by the judge?
No, everything is public. That's the point.
Well, no, of course, but I mean, before it's actually filed by the clerk has to have some direction as far as what to do.
No, you hand a document to a clerk, she file stamps it, it's public.
But someone has to hand the
I
document.
I got a question here. Now, you said private meetings or on record, whatever. Does that include that Richard Allen has to be there present while this is going on?
I know that's been the arguments of the other side. All I can tell you, Frank, is in Texas, Nevada, California, a few other states I've been in, where I've seen attorneys asked to withdraw. Normally it's the attorney is asking to withdraw. They're not being disqualified. But the normal procedure is if attorney wants to get off the case, they bring the defendant in and ask, do you object? And a lot of times they do, because they're withdrawing because they're not paying their lawyer. Well, yeah, no, I can pay him next week. And, and the judge.
That would be a private lawyer.
Yeah. And so, on a disqualification, a defendant has the choice of counsel, and so they need to be heard in some fashion, whether they need to be standing in the courtroom, hearing everything, not necessarily, but they need to be present in some fashion, and they need to have an opportunity to express what their desire is.
What about at the in-chamber hearing or meeting or whatever it was? Because they're arguing that too.
Well, and in this specific case, if you believe everything that has, it was clear to me that, he didn't have an opportunity to express what he wanted. That was done later in some of the pleadings afterwards. And then, we had that post-dated order that was dated the date of the hearing, but wasn't filed until after all of the filings by Rozzi.
No, it said it was filed on the 19th. Like the file date was the 19th.
And what was the date of the hearing?
The
19th.
I'm talking about her order that it's stamped 5 days later and then dated the date of the hearing. It's post-dated. One filed with the clerk. That was prepared well after the hearing.
Okay.
It wasn't filed until Rozzi had filed his documents. This stuff's just not seen and heard. Now, some of that stuff she said on the record, but then, a bunch of other stuff wasn't. She's stuffing toothpaste back in the tube to a certain extent, and it's troubling. But be that as it may, they got that on the record, and it's been mentioned even in the writ a little bit, but a writ doesn't concern those issues. I think it's discussed specifically in Hennessy's supplementation of the record, whatever he called that document. Hennessy was just there to make a record, and in another channel, I would repeatedly saying, they're just in there to make a record. They're going to make a record. And this was before, when she said he's going to file something in writing, I go, okay, there it is. He's going to preserve the record. I frankly didn't feel like they were going to be as aggressive as they were, or aggressive may be the wrong term, but you know what I mean? It kept filing things, different motions, notice of appearance, private counsel, and we're going to do it for free. We don't want to continue into the trial date. All of these things are building the record, and I'm pretty sure Hennessy was guiding them. Look, if you really want to preserve your client's Sixth Amendment right to choice of counsel, you need to take these steps in order to preserve it for appeal. And they may have reached the logical conclusion by what happened in court and what Frank reported on so eloquently about what the judge told Mr. Allen about, there's no way I'm going to put these attorneys back on the case, and getting a statement from the district attorney about what his thoughts were about the conduct. All of that is to preserve the record, and that may be the end of it. We never hear another word about it unless there's an appeal, or, we may hear, if they truly feel, again, a writ, you can only file if The judge is required to do something, doesn't have
Right.
discretion. So it's very limited. And, you know, and I don't know if we'll see an interlocutory appeal or, and Adam, I'll let you pronounce it, another writ for
Mandamus.
yeah, bingo.
I did notice that Richard Allen was well aware of what was taking place well before the hearing.
Oh, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was visited by the three attorneys.
Well, he filed a correspondence letter to the judge
Yeah,
on
saw
October.
that, but I'm almost certain he also met with those three attorneys, one of which is PFD, and the other two ladies. There's no doubt in my mind he met with one or more of them in connection with the preparation of the brief, and they provided a draft to him. This is what we intend to file, and want you to look at it. Do you have any problems? And I know that those three attorneys were meeting with, I don't know. I have a very strong suspicion that those three lawyers were meeting with
Yeah.
the attorneys, including Hennessy, Baldwin, and Rossi,
Yeah.
in some form or fashion, Zoom, in person, phone.
Are you
They had to
talking
have
about
gotten those
It's
emails
just
from
clear to me.
someone.
But
Are you
that's how
talking about-
appeals
Right.
are done.
Yeah.
You strategize and do all that stuff. So there's nothing improper about that. But
Okay. Now I got about 10 minutes.
that's all I
left.
had on that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I hope I answered Frank's question.
Yeah,
Well, I was
that's perfect.
I was going to say I got about 10 minutes left and then I need to go. So Frank, any final thing that you would like to ask Travis or say or anything? Doesn't matter. Appreciate it.
No, but there was a few things I wanted to ask him, especially
Yeah.
about the situation with Richard being in the chambers with him, how that worked, and
Yeah.
things in that nature. So now I got a better understanding of this kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what we appreciate, Travis. Is like I said, this is exactly what means a lot to us. You know, like I said, understandably so that you don't know this case and from our side of things for the fact of the family, like we know that ins and outs. But
And for anyone that's not familiar, Travis is a trial attorney in the state of Texas.
Austin, Texas, yeah. And about 30, just over 35 years experience on there. So I want to really iterate to you that, so this means a lot because again, we all have our different expertise or something in certain things. Like I said, we've followed this case, but as for the law side of it, this is where we're so thankful and grateful that you can answer these questions live, instead of sitting there Googling it or trying to message someone, that people, the viewers that will watch this video after, so trust me when I say we do truly appreciate your generosity to us. Okay. Now, Charmaine, did you want to ask Travis anything or say anything before we head off here tonight?
No, just thanks, Travis, again for answering all my silly questions and I guess good questions, some of them. And I'm sorry things got so off track. This was supposed to be about, I guess it is about Abby and Libby, but
No,
that is the main problem right now. The focus has been taken away from these two babies, and that's what really upsets me right now.
yeah.
And that was our point for the whole the live tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was going to
yeah.
say, we covered that part in the beginning of it. I mean, for the sake of it, I knew we were going to get into this stuff as well. But I wanted people, especially at the start of the video, to remember what we're fighting for, and to remember that, as, people are talking about so many other things, having arguments, drama, all this stuff. Again, like, just focus on, remember that it's Abby and Libby, the families and whatever. And if people, and we know that there's content creators that are literally blaming the family still and stuff like that, but maybe one day it will soak into their head that They had no part of Abby and Libby's deaths, and like I said, they're victims just as much. That's who we care about is Abby and Libby. Justice for them first and foremost, above and beyond anything. And of course, that the families, the suffering that they're going through all this. You can't. I mean, like I said, I like to think of as like we were talking about earlier, Frank. Like you take yourself out of yourself and look at it from how would you feel if this was done to you, and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And just like Travis, right? If you have children and something like this happened and impacted, say, someone in your family, right? Exactly. My brain always goes to how would I feel if I was in your position? What would I want to do? So for us, we represent talking about the case, but we represent justice for Abby and Libby for first and foremost,
And
and
for a lot of content creators, I don't know if they realize, especially the ones with the bigger platforms, like this is all going to be part of Abby and Libby's legacy. Where people are going to be reading and learning about this case for forever.
yeah.
So all of the negative stuff that people are putting out with no proof and no compassion for the families is unconscionable when you think
Uh,
of it in a way that people are going to remember this for forever, for
yeah,
generation after generation.
Everyone's sitting in the shadow of the bridge, just waiting for their moment to shine. And you know
Yeah,
what? They make it more about themselves than they do about the case. And that's the
listen, guys. I have personally built a relationship with the Patties,
same.
Yeah.
and you know they are wonderful people. There's no doubt about it. Mike might look rough on the edges, but honestly, he's not.
Mm.
And people look at him like that, and I just like, man, I got to meet this guy. I've talked to him on numerous occasions at all the court hearings. I've asked him questions in front of the cameras on TV. He's not the guy people think he is, and neither is Becky. Leave Cody out of this. He's just an innocent kid at the time. You know, leave Kelsey out of this. She was a kid at the same time.
Poor thing. Yeah.
Kelsey's the sweetest young lady. I couldn't believe it when I finally got to meet her. She knew who I was right off the bat. She said, "Hi, Frank," because I got to get to know Mike and Becky. And now I've got to learn a little bit about Tara, and I've been talking with her, you know.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. Well, I was going to say Travis doesn't know. I know he doesn't know these names. So can you just quickly, Frank, just say to Travis about what Kelsey has done for Libby and basically her new path. Basically how this all changed her life and
she's basically, she wants to keep the girls, especially Libby's memory alive. She does
she's Libby's
talks,
sister.
seminars, stuff for
Crime
murder
Com.
victims, stuff like that. She's a spokesperson for murder victims, basically. That's just a way to keep the girls' memories alive. That's what she does. You got to realize, people, this was her baby sister. There's always been bad talk that them two didn't get along. We don't know that. But beside the point, what siblings don't get along? The point is, it was her sister and she loved her. And I wish people would just leave her alone, try and think that she's lying about this and lying about that, covering up for something this, something of that. Trust me, I didn't get any kind of vibe of that with her at all.
And she was a child also when it
Yes,
happened.
Wasn't she like
exactly.
16?
16.
Yeah.
16, and a lot of people don't understand how much she's been through over the years. She's not going to remember word for every statement that she made from 6 years ago. Who's going to be able to do that? She might change a word here or there, but she's still trying to get the same message across.
Absolutely. And again, so that I just wanted you to know who Kelsey is. It was sister, like I said, and then but she has put herself up there on social media. She's been a target to a lot of people, sadly. And
And
no
if you-
matter
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
And for anyone that's read Susan Hendrick's book that came out called Descent, I think, into Delphi or something like that, Kelsey German wrote the foreword to the book, and she talks about why she publicly became so involved with it.
A spokesperson.
And it changed, and it brought so much perspective into why she, at such a young age, became the voice kind of the Patty family and the voice for Libby. And it was so humanistic and so raw that it broke my heart, and I had so much respect for her, which I already did. But she talks exactly about why she put herself out there and became the voice of Libby. And so it makes it even sadder that she's been attacked the way she has.
Yeah.
In the audiobook,
She reads it.
Hendrick's book, I listened to the audiobook. I bought the audiobook, and yeah, Kelsey actually reads her foreword, and you're totally right, Adam. If anybody isn't familiar with Kelsey and what she's done and what she's been through, get the book. And if you're an audio learner, get the audiobook and listen to her read it.
Yeah.
And you'll know.
And Susan Hendrick's voice is pretty good to listen to as well.
So it's pretty troubling to me to hear that there's been victim blaming. And so, Adam, if an attorney clearly victim blamed in a pleading, that's just beyond the pale. And, and I don't know if that's happened or not, but, if it did, that's clearly grounds to, in my view, remove somebody. But that's the one thing.
And there's been no indication any lawyers have victim blamed, but as far as like the family members.
That's one of the things in true crime formats, like I've never seen any of that or the acrimony on people at different sides in this channel. Defense diaries, it's just very clear. It's made very clear there's not going to be any of that. It's going to be nice what the ultimate goal is, but maybe from a different perspective. So that's one of the things I kind of like. I know that like the format, the platform Reddit, for example, it gets very acrimonious about different cases, and they let stuff go on there. It's kind of the culture of the platform, I guess. But big turnoff for me. We can talk about things. We've gotten away from dialogue and what the true meaning of a dialogue is, and that you can respectfully have conversations from different viewpoints. But it's very upsetting to me that there's been this kind of behavior, because it's all ego, right? It's you have a theory, you have an idea, and that's why I said the other day that it seemed like there was a huge amount of buzz before there was an arrest, because you had the sleuthers trying to figure out who the man on the bridge was, or the voice, etc. And so there's commenting on that, but people have this theory, and then anybody that says anything that's contrary to that theory, and it's like you're insulting them. And I'm grateful for the channels that just they'll give a warning, or sometimes not even that, and just say, look, that's not what we're about.
That's me.
free to express your opinion, and people are going to have other opinions. You need to listen to them and be respectful and polite. But it's very disturbing that there's been victim blaming. There's just no place for it, at least from my perspective. I don't speak for every lawyer, but I would venture to say most lawyers I know, whether they're defense or, civil litigation, you know, they wouldn't stand for that, and they would pull somebody aside if they saw them doing it, and we'd say, hey, you may want to consider a different course here.
Right.
And you certainly would never do it in front of a jury because, they can turn on you on a dime. So
Yeah.
I think, and Sonny, I think Sonny, you need to go, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do too as well. So I think that means that we all have to go.
Yeah, how long have we been going since I joined? And you promised me 30 minutes, but I'm happy to answer the questions. I hope I answered them all. Very nice to meet you, Frank. Again, sincerely, I liked your, even with the technical difficulties,
See,
got a
that's
really good flavor of what was going on in that courtroom. I think because you're not bound by, being on the airwaves, terrestrial radio, you're able to give a true flavor in there, so to speak. And
Right.
I really enjoyed it. And
I like the
I
word.
appreciate
I'm
it.
glad to meet you. And thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
telling me about Kelsey. That's helpful to me. Thank you.
No problem, sir. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay. And Adam, you want to say something before we head out?
I mean, always, but no, I don't really, I'm good. I want to say thank you to everyone that joined us. Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, everyone in the chat. I guess, selfishly, I'm going to say, I hope that Judge Gold doesn't release those transcripts tomorrow because I need a break.
Yeah, so do I. I feel you there, buddy. But I know that John will end up emailing me sooner or later, letting me know what's going to happen.
7:45 tomorrow morning, I may get an email, and I'm
right. Docs pop.
But I know that Friday night we have a live scheduled, so selfishly, I'm gonna hope that any information that comes out Friday, so that we can talk about it then.
Well,
but
I was
sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Travis, not going to put you on the spot again. We're going to be, if we get documents and stuff like tomorrow or Friday, feel free if you want to join us. Actually, can I boss you around? And by the way, I love your, I've lived in Calgary a lot of my life. So I got to say, I love your hat.
Thanks.
Cowboy. But anyways.
It's my last few days in Vail, and
Colorado.
So we're going to try to enjoy it. I may hang out and look, but I really did enjoy the hearing about stuff. Something significant happens in the next couple of days. Of course, I'll try and help you out, but I would like to read the infamous memorandum. Memorandum. I got it, Adam.
You go read that. And then let us know when you have time.
It's only 130. It's only 136 pages. You can read that.
Only.
Yes, I would love for you to read that and finish reading it when you have time, and then just give us your thoughts on that whole thing.
And then there's a 280-page document where you can read after that.
240.
Great.
240.
Thanks for having me on. I'm sorry. I hope you did get what you wanted out. I really enjoyed that 52-second video, if Adam's correct on his timing, and it was beautifully done, very professional. And
you talk about Fig's with 52 seconds. Mine was 2 minutes.
I'll give everyone a seat. Fig didn't make the video; he just did the audio.
Gotcha. Anyway, I enjoyed it, and it brought up those emotions. Thank you for letting me speak my mind about that, and hope this thing didn't get hijacked off in this other direction, because
not at all.
There's a lot of value to what the theme of this show was, and I saw it and I thought, I'm just going to sit back here for a little while and kind of pick up on some of these things. And I really appreciate Charmaine's and Adam's input about trying to be not getting too deep into the emotions and whatnot, trying to be as neutral and unbiased about the legal issues is of a benefit. But you know, there's two little girls, and then of course their families, and I just was feeling a little guilt about
I know. Yeah.
not even knowing their names, you know. But
Yeah.
thanks, I appreciate all the comments. That's
Well,
all I'm
very
going to
neat.
say, and
Yep.
I'll let you
Thank
all
you
say
so much.
goodbye, and we'll see y'all soon.
Okay,
Right.
you guys.
I
You
want to hear
guys,
from
thank you.
and I want to hear from Charmaine.
Oh,
She's already spoke.
What would you like me to say?
I want you to say goodnight. I love you.
Okay.
I love everybody.
Good-
Good night. Thank you,
Good night.
Travis, and thank you, Frank.
Good
And
night,
All right.
guys.
and
Good
Sunny.
night, guys. Thank you
Always.
guys so much. You
Thanks,
guys have a
Sonny.
good night.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Sunny Justice and Aspen Connor from It's a Crime and Shame, wishing you all a good night.